If a plane is about to crash, should the captain inform the passengers? In 1978, a Pacific Southwest Airlines aircraft collided with a Cessna jet in mid-air. 19 seconds later, the airline nosedived into a nearby San Diego neighborhood, killing all 135 passengers, including 7 individuals that were in the neighborhood. Before the flight crashed, the captain got on the intercom and expressed to the passengers to brace themselves. Can you imagine hearing those last words before dying? A nearby photographer heard the news and was able to capture these 2 photos during this catastrophic event. Here are a few stories that I found related to this incident. Rod says, and I quote, "I saw it. I lived about 5 miles south of the neighborhood it hit. It was loud. I was 13 and I can still hear it in my mind. I have a friend whom I met years later who had a fiance on that plane. The loss messed him up for life." Charles says, "Several of us in a shipyard saw the plane going down in the distance, and we knew that there would be no survivors. We were unable to speak for a while. Then we were wondering what community just got partially destroyed. A terrible sight to remember." Lastly, Sin says, "In 1979, I was on a Pan Am flight from London to New York. The air hostess in our section became flustered and burst into tears. So we knew something was wrong. Then the pilot walked through the plane up and down the corridor, smiling at everyone and introducing himself. Then he got on the tannoy, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, and told us that the landing gear may or may not be faulty, and we had to fly past a tower where a person with binoculars was going to see if it had come down or not. Then we had to make an emergency landing on foam at JFK. But turned out the gear had come down anyway. People were screaming, crying. I was calm. I knew I was going to be all right. There was a lot of pushing to get out first though. I never flew again for 20 years. And here's a story one of my coworkers told me. This probably happened about 15 years ago. She said she was on the flight. The captain got on the intercom and said, due to the loss of cabin pressure, I believe, we need to drop 10,000 feet or else people will start passing out. So in the next few seconds, the aircraft had to drop 10,000 feet in order for them, to survive. No one would pass out. Thank God they weren't about to crash. They just had to drop low enough so that the pressure would stabilize, and that's what happened.